This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, that's on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. This One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Welcome to the June 9th edition of One Nation Radio here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rich Latta, of course, here with my co-host, James Boyd. James, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Just got done watching Dominion. Wow. Lots of things happened.
And joining us today, our very own, the Youngboy, Josh Smith. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? So glad to be back on One Nation Radio, where I got my start in podcasting. I actually don't think I've been on the show in years.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been on the show since I started doing Keepin' It Strong Style. So you could essentially say I've been on excursion, but I'm back home now.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Are you happy and prepared to do, like, basically 2 back-to-back reviews of Dominion?
Yeah, I feel like I'm cheating on Jeremy right now.
Oh, my God. Look, never mind. I don't want to...
Jeremy's going to get home and see, like, that this is already uploaded. He's going to be like, what the
Yeah, man. But, yeah, we just finished watching Dominion today. It's still Sunday, and before we get you guys this, of course, there was that disaster in Saudi Arabia, which we're not going to really be spending any time on. So,
what disaster? Was anybody hurt?
Yes, there were people hurt on that show. Yeah.
Oh, wow, they were actually where I forgot.
Yes.
I thought you were just like, nah, I'm like, okay, that's cap. But nah, people legitimately actually got, dropped on their domes out there. I mean, look, people got dropped on their domes in this show, too. Yeah. So, I mean, I ain't really going, too crazy. But I will say this. It's different. I would say this. I hate the fact that, like, some of those were intentional on this show. However, like, the accidental ones that happened on the Friday show, Super Showdown, was like, I mean, we might have to come to, this is probably a long conversation we should have already had, but, like, it's time to kind of wrap this up. Like, do you remember WrestleMania 27 between Undertaker and Triple H when Undertaker got his ass for that entire match, and then Triple H grabbed his sledgehammer and it said, looked at Undertaker and said, it's time, and he slapped on it, and then right like, at the end he finished it by slapping on that the triangle choke or whatever else, but, like, at that time, in 2011, Triple H told him at that point it was time. And look,
it's time to go.
Yeah, it's time. And Triple H, you too.
You too, yes.
Here's what I'll say: me and Rich watched Undertaker versus Goldberg, and all I know is that was the height of King's Road style.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
That's like 90s All Japan where they're dropping.
Oh my God!
Get the fuck out of here.
I've seen all of one of those Kings Road style matches.
This was the height of Kings Road style.
My God.
And trust me,
yeah.
Look, man, like Masao's not here to this day, so no, thank you.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Let's not do this.
So we're gonna skip over that. If y'all watched that show and you liked it, God bless you. But I just want to talk about Dominion, where I was just absolutely sickened that Chris Jericho was in the main event.
Here you go.
Sickened and disgusted by his presence. But, just kidding.
Yeah, man. Overall, we just got done with it, so I guess we need to start at the beginning. Jon Moxley opened up the show against Shota Umino, and he came through the crowd looking like a fucking boss, as normal, with the IWGP Intercontinental title. Shota had ran out there previously. Yeah, U.S. title. And he was in the ring waiting. Moxley was kind of stunting. And Shota really, I guess he did his homework or something, and he decided that he would go ahead and take the fight to Moxley.
Yeah, I think he's been watching some NXT and saw War Raiders versus Street Profits, and is like, we just gonna start this thing off hot and fresh. And that was a fatal mistake for him. He paid for that dearly.
So this match went about 4 minutes, and I thought it was really entertaining for what it was. Like,
yes.
Josh, what did you think of when they announced this match? Like why?
Well, in New Japan, many times when somebody comes in fresh and new, usually their first singles match will be against a young lion to kind of prove themselves and show what they have, and also give some experience to the young lions. We saw that this year with Shingo's first singles match, Jonathan Gresham's first singles match. They decided to kind of do it in reverse. They gave him the title shot first instead of building to it, and then afterwards they're like, all right, well, now we'll give him a young lion kind of. And I like it. I thought it was real refreshing, and I thought that this was awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of good submission holds by Mox, and just showing more that he's not Dean Ambrose anymore. I think that's his mission in all these matches that he has going on over the next couple months. I'm going to be free. I'm going to do different styles. I'm going to show the moveset that I largely didn't use in WWE. And he ended up getting the win with the double arm DDT, the regular one, not the one that he hit Juice with. And James, what did you think of this match?
I thought that, this was not exactly Hazuki versus Starlight Kid, but it was just an entertaining, quick match that was fun from bell to bell. And it was just more or less, as you say, he just after he got the little hope spot, after he started the match and then he get the hope spot of the German, it was just more or less he just whooped his ass from pillar to post. And it was fun to see him kind of it was fun to see him in that kind of area to where this is what we kind of thought that he could always have been. And I'm not taking it too far because it's only a 4 minute match or 5 minute match or whatever, but you kind of see him be more vicious in a way that the main roster is not allowed. Really, all of WWE does not really allow for somebody to be a tough, bruising, ass kicking, pummeling type of person. I don't know, clearly that would never happen. What the fuck would Minoru Suzuki do in WWE? What would they do with him?
I think he would just had to only chop.
He would just pretty much just chop, punch, and then try to slap him, put him on the gotch, power driver. That's it. But back to what I'm really saying is you see him as he's going to be by either the end of this year or going into next year. If not already, he's already one of the elite brawlers in the world already. It seems to me. Maybe I'm probably jumping the gun on this, but I can. That's kind of where I see it heading. He's gonna be a dude. You're just gonna be in a war to beat this dude.
Well, it's very clear that New Japan is pushing Mox, but not just pushing him, but really pushing him in a strong way. To give some background on Shota Umino, his over the past year or so, he's had a lot of showcase matches and singles, which is always a big deal for a young lion. And in matches against he had a match against Shingo, he had a match against Tanahashi, he had a match against Zack Sabre, he had a match against who's the big guy, Suzuki, the big
Archer?
No. Outside of New Japan, he wrestles in Big Japan. We saw him WrestleMania weekend last year.
Sakamoto.
Yeah, he had a really good match with Sakamoto, and in every single one of those matches, he was competitive. He had a lot of hope spots. You really could believe that he had a good chance at winning the match. And so a lot of people kind of figured that's usually the model that they take when they're gonna, because for better or worse, Shota Umino is the ace of the Young Lions class, and he's never really looked made to be looked like just a jobber or something like that. Right. And he was strong here in the beginning, but at no point was he ever really in this match. This was the most dominant anybody in a singles match has looked against him in years. So it really is telling at how quickly and decisively Jon Moxley disposed of him. It tells you a lot about what they see in Jon.
So, after the match, Jon Moxley grabbed the mic and he basically announced that he's going to be in the G1 Climax, which is all kinds of exciting.
I mean, it's exciting and it's also kind of like, it's exciting, but at the back of your mind, you're like, if it blows up in his face, if it blows up in his face, this will be the time when we find out it blows up in his face.
Yeah. I think I'm not worried about like the strain on his body or anything like that because this dude is normally an Iron Man for all this, and I think this will just tell you a lot about his capabilities of his wrestler. It's like the ultimate,
ultimate test
essentially as a wrestler.
Like, you come out here and you're bad in the G1, then like, you need to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. If you have a bad G1, you need to go back to the drawing board.
I've had reservations about Jon Moxley coming to New Japan for a while. Not to say that I distrust him or anything like that, but, you just never know how someone wrestling in that style for so many years would perform here. But from every indication we've seen, he's here, and he's real, and I am excited. Yeah.
Like, it's really weird watching, thinking about his last, let's say 3 years in WWE or whatever, or something like that. Let's say since, like, WrestleMania 32. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's been weird to notice it, like, oh, yeah, like, he's still, the crowd's still behind him, they still connect with him, but, like, he had a window there and he missed it, and, just like everybody else misses their window in WWE that's a talent, but, you just kind of felt like, outside of that, like, the AJ series, it was just, like, like, tag team wrestling is not the same thing as being a singles wrestler, so, like, it kind of just felt like, all right, well, it almost feels like he's kind of just, kind of sort of going through the motions. And now it seems like all the stuff that he said, like, at least for the time being, like, he's backing the stuff up. Like, I mean, in him going out there and having him holding up and having a good G1 will definitely be, like, for those, like, that, I think this is, like, the full-on, straight-on indicator of, like, what he's going to be outside of WWE, like, going forward for a while until, like, injuries or whatever else takes its toll.
And it'll also be, like, a good, like if he has a kick-ass G1, that will, like, just carry him into AEW just as probably the hottest guy in the business still. And it will go a long way in trying to establish him. But, go ahead.
Two things that I would say about it. During the podcast he did, what was it, Wade Keller?
Wade Keller, yeah.
He mentioned how when you wrestle in WWE, you have to tell a story, and the person that you're trying to please and get over with is Vince. So it almost tells me to see this flip and turn in the way that he's wrestling. It's like maybe the reason he was wrestling that way those last few years is because he was wrestling for Vince, not for the fans and not for himself.
Right, we say this all the time.
And now he's wrestling for himself, he's wrestling for the fans, so it's a total different paradigm shift. But what I would say as far as the G1's concerned, because I'm going to be in Dallas, I'll be there that first night, and if I'm New Japan and I'm trying to make inroads with this market and also move tickets, which they've had a lot of issues with, I headline with Jon Moxley night 1, G1 in Dallas, A block.
Him and Okada?
I don't know who, maybe Okada, whoever you guys think could be like the best selling ticket. But yeah, you headline with him against a big name, and he beats them, whoever it is.
That's probably Okada.
Yeah, and then you can go back to a title match at some point before October. So
they love doing that on the first night, doing a big upset against a big star. That's kind of been their go-to for the past few years.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I would do. I'd put him over someone big the first night and get all that buzz, get all that attention on New Japan World. That's what I would do.
So Jon Moxley did all that ass whooping, and after the ass whooping, he was kind enough to walk Shota Umino to the back and help him out. Just a pleasurable gentleman that Jon Moxley is.
I think like he's crazy, but he's not a bad guy. Like that's more we get. He's a crazy badass that's also like a likable guy. Like it's more or less what he's going off as. Like he's all in on this funk like shit. Like he's all in on it.
Well, I think during the G1, people have been like, well, he's in New Japan. New Japan's so centered on having stables. And when you're not in singles matches on that tour, you have to be in tag matches. You have to be in multi-man matches. Who the hell do you team Moxley up with, you know? And people have speculated about like what faction he goes to. I think they established tonight it's gonna be him and Shota Umino tagging together during the G1.
That'd be hilarious.
That is what it's gonna be. I'm telling you right now.
Like Shota Umino can eat 10 pins for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Yeah, check it out. It was only a 4-minute match. So up next we had Shingo Takagi, the runner-up of the Best of the Super Juniors 2019 tournament. Excuse me. I was thinking about the other one. Will Ospreay won. Actually, no. Kushida won in 17. Or was that Ricochet?
Man, I've lost count.
I'm tripping. So
I think Ospreay won 16.
16, he did. Shingo Takagi.
That was the same year they had that freaking Ricochet match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shingo defeated Satoshi Kojima in just over 11 minutes. This was the battle of the pulled up pants and the big chests from Generations.
Axe Bomber versus Western Lariat.
Amazing. Josh, this is right up your alley. Take it away.
Yeah, so I mean, my co-host Jeremy Donovan, he is nothing if not a huge Satoshi Kojima mark. He has been for years and years and years, and he was on a boat over in Alaska. And when they announced this card, I was like, oh my god, Jeremy's in Alaska, and he doesn't know that Shingo's fighting Kojima. Like, I gotta tell him. I don't know how to tell him. But this was like a mirror match, basically. This is two guys who are very, very similar in look, very, very similar in style, very, very similar in legacy and moveset. And I was very excited to see this. Hard-hitting, really good match. But the main thing here is that, you know, Shingo's been on such a tear. He went undefeated during the Best of the Super Juniors until the final when he was bested by Will Ospreay. And people have been wondering, like, what weight class is he going to compete in? You know, is he too big for a junior? Is he too small for heavyweight? And after he lost that main event against Will Ospreay, during the post-match, he said, I want a heavyweight at Dominion. And they obliged. They gave him Satoshi Kojima. They had a hard-hitting match here. But I think he more than gave a good acquitting of himself or accounting of himself to basically show that he can compete in the heavyweight division.
I like how you did like a half worked, half kayfabe one. Like clearly, the man's one of the best workers of the company, so clearly he can compete with in the heavyweight division. Like, but I appreciate that. But I think that he's gonna rip it up in the G1. Like I mean I don't know how many points he should win or whatever else. I'm not really gonna get into that, but like he should be a hard out for anyone any given night, and maybe people be like, man, I don't want to deal with this dude. Like so I can't wait to see him in there, and it's more like elite top talent in the G1. So like, you know, if we can get like J1 under control, we can get the Tongans under control. Like we could go out here and say like almost every single match is a kick-ass match.
I really would want Shingo and Ishii to fall in the same block.
Oh my
God.
You know, because I want to see
everyone
in the world to wrestle Ishii.
Yes.
James, you had another point you were gonna make?
Yeah. Like also like, you know, there's still like we gotta worry about like what kind of Taguchi we're gonna get. We gotta worry what kind of like Yano we're gonna get. We gotta worry about like a few other things too. Taichi, for example. But like if we can get like those clowns like around, you know,
like separate, like break them up.
Yes. Like don't put them all in one block and then be out here, you know, or like how they did with the Tongans and the constant interference with Jay White also in the A block last year, where he's like, okay, the A block just it can't. Even if they did their best, they still wouldn't be able to compete with the B block probably. But like they're not even gonna try now. They're just like, yeah, y'all go ahead and take a night off, Tanahashi and Okada. Y'all just take this whole tournament off and rest up. So I'm interested to see what's next with that. But like I thought it was a good match. I don't know where I would have ranked it. I didn't even really think of it in a critical eye. I just thought like these two guys is out here like trying to beat the piss out of each other. And I thought it was cool.
It was really hard hitting. This was a really enjoyable first heavyweight match for Shingo in New Japan.
Yeah.
For those who kind of want to get a feel for like what Shingo's style might look like in the heavyweights, because if your only exposure to him is from Dragon Gate or the U.S. Indies, he was in the All Japan Champions Carnival last year, which was an all-time great Champions Carnival, and he freaking killed it in that tournament against some of the best heavyweights from around all the Japanese promotions, so I highly recommend that. But, you know, he did that. He did Bola last year. Now he's going to be doing the G1 in 2019. Like, those are 3 of the biggest, most prestigious tournaments you can be part of.
So he's made like officially now. I would say.
To me, he's been made.
He's been made, but he hasn't had singles matches until this last tournament. This really was like his coming out party.
Yeah, you're right.
And now he's here.
Yeah. And he's gonna be a force.
Like for me, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he's gonna be a force. Like going forward, just like plugging him. If it's a full graduation to the heavyweight ranks, like for like the IC title, for the Never title, like he's a natural in the Never division. Yep. And as high as like wrestling Okada or Tanahashi. So.
Well, he's a guy that has said in the past that he considers himself open weight. He can fight in any weight class. So even if he does a G1, it's not that there isn't a precedent for juniors to go up to heavyweight, fight in the G1, and then maybe go back. So if they wanted to utilize him in that way, they could. But if they want to graduate him and put him in that Never division, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all.
Then the next match, we had Jushin Thunder Liger and Yoshihashi defeating Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. The Skinny Geek got rolled up by Yoshihashi.
Embarrassing for a technical wizard like Zack Sabre Jr. to get rolled up and pinned 1, 2, 3 by by Yoshihashi.
The perpetually underwhelming Yoshihashi with a victory. It's like they're trying to heat him up for him to take 8 falls in the G1 this year.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but they have started to tease, and it was followed up at the end of the conclusion of this match, that Yoshihashi is in line for a Rev Pro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship shot against Zack Sabre.
Yeah.
I don't really the match was like what it was and all that.
It was fine.
But it was just like, I thought they could have done this on a Road 2 show. I don't know if it really was worthy of being on Dominion.
I think it was the fact that Liger and Suzuki
were together.
It's such a heated rivalry between them and has been for months and months, plus the fact that Liger's going to be retiring at the end of the year. They kind of need to do something with him to showcase him on these big shows, and they're not ready to pull the trigger for whatever reason on Liger and Suzuki as a singles. So I think that's the main reason why this occurred this way. But you're right, it definitely had that Road 2 vibe.
Yeah. And now that we're at the time that we are in the year, like we're all kind of figuring like I guess that means that they're going to try to hold this Suzuki and Liger thing off until one of these Tokyo Dome shows. It's like look, Gato is a magic maker, but like that's still a long ass time.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
So like that's a while from now. Like that's we're still in freaking June. So for me, I think that the story of how much they hate each other like overshadow what was actually going on in the match until all of a sudden you see Yoshihashi pins Sabre. He's like, wait, what? So I mean, if that was their mission and mission accomplished, I guess.
It really seemed for a while like Liger and Suzuki was at a boiling point and it had to happen soon. But we're like, what's the next big show? Dominion. But then they kept them off the entire Best Super Juniors tour until the very end, and they were in a multi-man match.
Yeah.
And even prior to that, they kind of moved them into other, multi-man matches apart from each other. So they have cooled it down just a tad bit. But now at this point, like with what James is saying, it's like Kazuna Road's coming up. They're not going to do it there. After G1, there's Destruction. I mean, this is a match that's big enough where...
What month is Destruction normally? I forgot.
That comes after
September.
the G1. It's like September.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like if they're going to do this, it either has to be at the G1 Finals or King of Pro Wrestling or Wrestle Kingdom. And it seems like they're probably going to hold it off until Wrestle Kingdom. The thing with Liger is he said in his promos many times when they've discussed having this match that if they do fight, then... because Liger's already going to be retiring, if he wins, then Suzuki has to retire at the end of the year as well.
So basically, like, they want the Batista Triple H deal, where like, this is my last match, but like, you need to put your career on the line too.
Yeah.
But unlike Batista and Triple H, like, ain't nobody out here all just rooting together just to see like Batista just go ahead and get 2 birds, 1 stone it. Like Suzuki still has Suzuki still has like gas in the tank and still going like. He's probably more over at this point, like than he was in a lot of his career. So it's like he's enjoying the fruits of his labor of just being like this diabolical motherfucker for decades. So
if only Batista won at WrestleMania, we wouldn't have to keep seeing Triple H.
Let's be clear. This feud started way before that. If anything, they went the Liger Suzuki route.
Yes, yes, I'm sure you're right, but I'm just saying like. I'm talking about that little wrinkle as far as in like
Paul and Dave had their they were watching their New Japan World subscription. They got the idea from this. They stole it.
How much? I'm sure Triple H has watched plenty of New Japan. How much New Japan do you think Batista has ever watched?
I have a feeling Batista's probably watched a bit of it. I feel like he'd be a fan of it.
I'm sure if he watched it, my thing is like, I'm sure he's so busy, like, I ain't got time for this shit. Like
I gotta memorize these lines.
I'm trying to watch like some Crockett. Like, that's probably what. You don't think that Batista was like Crockett would be right up Batista's alley? I'm sure he would love that shit.
So the next match was Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Ace, Juice Robinson. Also recently cut his hair like I did. And
you guys are connected.
Yeah, connected. Taguchi, they defeated Jay White, who's out here looking like Dutch from Red Dead Redemption, and Chase Owens and Taiji Ishimori. So, boy.
There's someone out there that understands that reference.
It'll be Caleb.
I'm sure
I popped Caleb just now. I guarantee it.
I'm sure there are plenty of people that know the reference. But I'm not a gamer, so like,
I don't know the reference.
Whatever you want to do. Like all I know is like the old dudes and fuck niggas. Outside of that, I don't know anything else.
Yeah, man. So what do you guys think about this match? I thought this was just kind of there.
Yeah, it was just like, let's get them on the car. Let's have them do something like that. I mean, it felt just like every road to like. Multi-man tag that you ever saw.
Tanahashi broke out a new finish in this match.
Oh yeah, Tanahashi, boy,
he looked rough in this match.
He looks like he should not be back yet, but he's back because he, nothing will stop that man because he's crazy. The same reason why he kept working on that bad, was it biceps or triceps?
Biceps.
Yeah, like I feel like they need to like preserve him. They need to cut his minutes down. Like they need to treat him
like Dwayne Wade.
Yes, they need to, yes, like Dwayne Wade at the end. Like no back to backs, no no matches longer than 10 minutes. Like no, and also when he did the new finish, or whatever. I remember even before that even happened, I was like, he needs a new finish where it's like he's no longer doing the high fly flow. He can't be taking an impact on the knees. No more. Like he's already he looks bone on bone, and that was months ago. And like it looks, sometimes we're like he's such a great, seller.
He figures it out.
Whatever else, and he's such a genius, whatever. But like, what if it's not him figuring out much? It's like he's really in that pain that he's explained to us that we can see from 30 feet away. So I think we need to put him in bubble wrap and only bring him out for like the big use. Like I'm not saying that he needs to go out here and have his final G1. I'm not saying that, but we need to preserve this because like we're coming up on the G1 and he's gonna be in it, and like that's a lot to ask for this man. Like I don't think he's gonna win it this year, or even be in contention. But we gotta preserve this because we don't know how long this shit gotta last. We don't know how long it's gonna last. That's the best way I'm trying to put it.
Clubber, what's your prediction for tonight's match against Tanahashi?
Oh my god,
pain.
He actually looked really good in the match the other night, but it was just 3 nights ago with Jay White. But man, it's like they didn't do that much in that match, and he was looking so rough here. They botched a bunch of spots at the end. Like, yeah,
the finish was botched.
The finish was botched.
Do you think because of I didn't see the match from the other night, but. Like, was it a slower style match? Was it similar to the match they had earlier in the year?
It was. Every match they've had has been very different.
So,
But this one, he just worked over the arm, but it was pretty vicious the way he worked over the arm to like where it was pretty believable. I was like, yo, isn't that the arm that he legit actually hurt? Why are they working over the actual arm that was legit hurt?
The actual injury.
Like, so bad. But yeah, I mean...
Well, the reason why I asked is because, we always talk about...
Do you know if it's the left or the right one?
It's the left
I thought
arm.
it's the one he had to sleeve on.
Or it's the right arm.
Okay.
I thought it was the one he always had to sleeve on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But the reason why I asked was because we talked about earlier about, like, the single stuff. Like, it's hard to be a single performer. But, like, if you're somebody like Tanahashi, like, that can work that slow down style, sell his ass off or whatever, and like only got to come out with like, all right, I sell. I come up with a counter. I hit you with the corkscrew. I'll start working over your legs for the clover leaf, and then like we do figure out something else, and then like I get up and I slap the shit out you, and then it's on from there. Like so for me, him coming up with that kind of story that he has in his bag and he's doing 1,000,000 times and it's easy. Like that to me is easier than like, oh, it's a tag match to get in and like do something with like some type of like pace. So that's why I was asking what kind of match was it the other night. So, but yeah, I figured like for someone like Tanahashi, like single match might be kind of easier for him. Like he did in his sleep, but it's like this tag shit is like
gotta fire up, hit a hot tag.
Yeah, I gotta hit a hot tag. I don't want to do that shit because I gotta run. I gotta hit the ropes.
But you know what? In a lot of the tag matches he's been in over the past year or so. He's gone the Big Daddy route where like he doesn't do much. Like they had him teamed up with Ospreay for most of the end of the year, and Ospreay was doing everything. And those matches were like 4 3/4, 4.5, and Tanahashi was in there for like a minute, 2 minutes. He wasn't doing anything, and like Ospreay's carrying the whole match.
Ospreay carrying the sport right now, bitch.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so after that, it picked up a little bit on the card as we got to the real. Tomohiro Ishii is your new never open weight champion, and this is step 1 on his road to the dome.
Oh my God.
He's still on this, huh?
Why?
He's still on this. You've been on this since what? The New Japan Cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Road to the dome.
All right, how are we gonna get there? Can you?
I already told you how we're gonna get there.
No, now, I mean, obviously, you know, some things have to change because, like, he's not gonna follow your complete game plan. So, like, now where we're at in the counter, where are we headed? How do we get there now?
So and right now,
we'll worry about how you gonna fantasy book it to get to the dome, and then we'll talk about the match. So go ahead.
So things haven't gone as I had previously laid out. You know, we were supposed to get the IWGP. Yes, we were supposed to get the IWGP title tonight, but we had to settle for the never. So just like Tetsuya Naito has his dream of holding 2 titles, so does Tomohiro Ishii. He's just gonna start with the never openweight title because you never want to fuck with somebody named Tomohiro Ishii. You never want smoke.
Josh, can you imagine the never 2 belts, never in the fucking title?
So, all these people, it's cool that all these people are declaring for the G1, like, Jon Moxley, what's his name? Shingo Takagi.
Kenta.
Kenta. We'll get to him later. But they gotta fight Tomohiro Ishii at some point. They all can't run from him. Somebody got to get it. So,
like Josh was talking about earlier, about how he wants to expand the G1, and by expanding it, moving into 4 blocks, and thereby, instead of people having to run 9 matches, people have to run 5 matches.
Yeah.
So, 4 blocks of 6 wrestlers. So, and then, they basically, the 2 block winners end up going on to basically have semifinals and then the final. So, so what you are suggesting is that, like, people want to get to that, into that kind of tournament, so they can like have a 75% chance of not having to deal with Tomohiro Ishii.
That's all this comes down to. There's nothing but a con. This is nothing but cowardism.
Cowardism, not cowardice.
Cowardism.
This man's
yes.
with new words for words.
New language to describe Tomohiro Ishii. So, that's all I see, Josh. You're trying to protect these wrestlers from Tomohiro Ishii, but that's cool, So, Ishii obviously would win the G1 undefeated. He would show Shingo how to do it. Unlike going to the finals undefeated, so he has to complete the job.
So my question would be for you, like, who would he beat in this hypothetical semifinal? Let's
anybody.
No, I'm saying like who would you like him to beat on the way, and also in the semifinal and the final to get to win the G1? In theory,
I would like him to whoop Jay White.
Okay. Is that a block final?
Sure.
Okay.
So he can whoop Jay White. He can whoop Naito just to make all the LIJ fans cry like hoes.
Oh my god.
All right, go ahead.
And then
Who's be in the final?
Tanahashi.
Wow, Tanahashi's gonna go out there and win a block and win
I'm just kind of coming off the top of my head right now, but it could be anybody.
So Tanahashi's going to the finals again.
I don't know. I had to see how the blocks break out, but
I'm sure he could do it if you give him some WD-40 to swing into them knees.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know. I mean, that would definitely line the load like 5 matches instead of 9.
Jon Moxley, like put him in the G1 finals.
So, all right. So, let's say we didn't do the
this is compelling radio.
We do the regular G1.
We're literally talking about something that's never gonna happen.
Yeah. Let's now. Who is he? Who? So
Talk
you said
about the never
people?
title. This is never going to happen.
So seriously, are the same people you want to throw in for like the block final and also the G1 final?
I would like to see Tomohiro Ishii bust Jay White's head one time for the culture.
Okay.
And besides that, Zack Sabre, he can get the revenge from Wrestle Kingdom. You know how he beat my dog for the British title. We can get that back. Pretty much Ishii can whoop all the geeks.
Okay.
So
you have so like who is he dropping falls to?
What?
He's going he's going undefeated, James.
What?
He's gonna go. Wait.
Dropping falls.
They go 10-0 in G1.
What? Yes.
Oh my god.
Why not?
How many times has that ever happened, Josh? Someone goes.
It's never happened.
Okay.
Even Inoki hasn't done this.
Oh my god.
But yeah.
And then how about this? So then at King of Pro Wrestling, because he defeated Zack Sabre challenges him for his title shot. They go title for title. He wins back the British title.
So 2 belts
He's got
already.
2 belts already.
They set up for 3, so he's gonna make himself a new triple crown champion.
He's the Triple Crown champion.
The new Triple Crown champion. Not All Japan, not Noah, not Masawa, not Kobashi, but there will be a new championship unveiled January 4th to signify Tomohiro Ishii's 3 championships.
Oh my god. This is so stupid.
So can we call it the I Crown?
The I Crown?
Yes, the Ishii crown. Yes. Oh man, but he did.
Now back to the reality.
So back to what happened a little bit earlier.
Oh my god.
Tomohiro Ishii defeated Taichi in a good match and very hard hitting, drama filled towards the end.
Yeah.
Went about 4 stars on it, and
it was good.
Yeah. I'd probably go 4 1/4.
It was not as good as the match they had during the New Japan Cup this year, but that was like I think a main event or semi-main event. But they still got a good amount of time here, like 16 minutes. But this was a really good match. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, and like considering the other nonsense we saw later in the show, like it was a pretty damn safe match. Because all things considering the rest of the card. And like, the people, the Ishii matches and the selling and the hard strikes and whatever and the occasional chops to the throat or whatever else. Like
the headbutt?
Yeah, the headbutts. Like that stuff is like, hey man, you probably shouldn't be doing that stuff, but it beats what the fuck happened to Ibushi, right?
And I feel like Ishii's done it enough to where like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and then, you hear the stories about people say like he's a dream to work with, like like that stuff's easy, and I'm like, that shit don't look easy. It look hard, real hard. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was another typical Ishii match. Like they're striking the back and forth. Like it's more Taichi has to prove how tough he is to him, and eventually once some shorts come off, he actually shows him how tough he is. But that wasn't enough for Ishii because Ishii put him away. He hit him with the lariat. Was it lariat? He did. No, he got one brainbuster.
Brainbuster.
Yeah, he tried for. He got a one brainbuster, and that was it.
They had some really good near falls here.
Yeah.
A lot of 2 3/4. Here's the one thing I will say about this. I know we spent a lot of time talking about Rich's whole entire fantasy booking that's never ever going to happen, but I will say this.
Why are you so negative, bro?
Because it's never happening.
Look. For me to say you being too negative, like. That means it should mean something to you. You need to relax, bro. Like anything is possible.
But
okay,
anyone can be beat.
This is not some rigid creative process where people are creatively stifled here. Okay, anything can happen. All right.
In the World Wrestling Federation,
the joke was not to actually Whatever. You buried the joke by actually going out there and saying it. Whatever. Go ahead.
But
thanks, Josh.
We at the beginning of the year, there's lots of people that were like,
"Welcome back to One Nation Radio."
Thank you. There's people that were like, they're like, I'm ready for the Never division to go in a different direction. I'm ready for these guys like Ibushi and Ospreay to take it to new heights and Taichi. No, I'm ready for these strikes. I'm ready for these freaking just strong style matches, these epic wars. I'm ready for the Never title to be what it's always been, the strong style World Heavyweight Championship, and that's what it is when Tomohiro Ishii holds it. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen.
Or a real man holding the belt.
Back.
Like, it's funny that we have the Naito match and this match, and like Ishii and Naito are both back with like these belts that they've just been like that's they've been blessed and cursed with having to be like, stuck with. Okay, I can't say you're blessed and cursed to be stuck with the IWGP title, but I'm saying like those are their belts at this point. Like from someone that's been watching New Japan, at least me that's like casually watches New Japan, for the pretty much only show for the big shows. I've been doing that for like 4 years now. Like this is kind of funny that like this is kind of the track that we've always seen these people in, where like we're fighting for these belts, and like at times, especially Naito, like he hates that goddamn Intercontinental belt, but it's always his.
It's you.
Yeah.
This is you.
So I'm actually so I saw all the versions, but I'm a IC guy. Gato's like, it's you.
It's you.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
This belt's for you, baby.
And like, and Ishii's like, dude, like I am one of the best handful of wrestlers in the company, and like I'm an all-time historic wrestler, and I got my start late, and I'm making up for it, and like, am I ever gonna get a shot, Ghetto? You're like, nah, man, keep it never title. But like, am I ever gonna get like even like the IC title? So I'm just like because I'm just like the tough small guy, huh? He's like, it's you, yeah, like that's
it's you,
and you're trying to get him out of that it's you thing. So I'm with it. Like I love Ishii. I think I would love to see that eventually, but like I'm also kind of like in between you two of like it's never gonna happen and like it's absolutely gonna happen. Like I'm somewhere like I would like to see that. I would like to see it. That's kind of where I'm on Ishii.
I wanted Ishii to go junior. That's what I wanted.
Oh my god, you want him in the best of the Super Juniors?
But
speaking of undefeated through a block, that's the one he's going to do. He's going to go ahead and smash everybody.
Congratulations to the Carl Gotch World Champion, Tomohiro Ishii.
Do you know how much like enjoyment Rich would have got out of seeing an Ishii versus Jonathan Gresham match?
Oh my god,
he would have loved it. He would have enjoyed it so much.
The way that
like never pin him, just keep clotheslining him.
Just beat him until to the time limit and win by count out.
The way that Rich is on this whole road to the dome, I'm on the Ishii Junior run. That's my thing. We do that on my show all the time.
Oh my god.
He just has to cut a couple kilos and he'll be there. He's fine.
Nah, you gotta expand.
Gotta aim high.
Gotta aim high, man. Ambition.
The juniors are ambition. That's better than the Never title. He can pick up all these belts.
Agree to disagree.
He can pick up all these belts.
Man. Yeah, so Ishii's the new champion.
And Taichi, you can go to hell.
Yeah, Taichi.
Oh yeah, like we've been talking like for 20 minutes about Ishii. And like, oh yeah, he's in the ring with some fucking guy.
Yeah, some dude.
Some guy that ripped off his fucking pants and sang down, and lip sync down to the stage.
I will say this though, on a positive note, if Taichi wrestles like this during the G1, I'll be pretty happy actually.
Same here.
And he is gonna be in the G1. He wasn't last year, and
he'll be in it.
And he'll be in it this
year.
Oh yeah,
he has to be as much as they've showcased him.
So up next. Tama Tonga Tangaloa defeating Evil and Sonata for the 73rd time to retain the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. The finish was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it was. Like, I don't think there's really much to talk about except for the finish.
They went 16 minutes 39 seconds, but it felt a lot longer than that.
I ended up getting pulled out of the match and like couldn't hold attention on it. But I don't even say like I didn't even think like they. It kind of felt like a Road 2 show. Yeah. A Road 2 match.
Well, there's no build.
Yeah.
None.
There's no build whatsoever. We didn't know. There was no anticipation that this match was going to be on this card just days in advance. They didn't announce. Almost most of these matches that got announced, there was some sort of backstory going into it. And for those who are like, well, there's a story. It's like, well, the story was they wrestled in February and then they wrestled in January. They wrestled in December. It's been we just keep seeing these guys over and over and over again, but there's no anticipation. There's no build to it. There's no heat for it. The crowd, as over as all these guys are, the crowd wasn't into it. Go figure.
Why do you think that is? Like, is it something like is this just a reflection of the tag division? Like how it's being used in New Japan right now?
Yep. These are the 2 best tag teams that they have in the tag division currently on the roster. I don't even know if they had anyone else ready to go. To me, they could have maybe had these guys in a multi-man match and maybe showcased the juniors and done a junior tag because we were coming off, best super juniors, but that's just me. But, Gato never books this as a strong tag division. They just never do.
Well,
it's a long way from the Golden Lovers and the Young Bucks.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
I think the main thing as far as their idea is, well, we have so many singles wrestlers that on these Road to shows that have to do tag matches. It's like it doesn't make sense for us to build like a division of 8 strong tag teams because like we're gonna make fucking Ishii and Ospreay a tag team like last year. So it's like they're 2 stars. Go be a tag team. There you go. Like whenever it's Naito and Bushi or was it Bushi and Shingo earlier this year, right?
Yeah, they were teaming.
Yeah, so it's like we just make teams and like even Sonata's another example of that. Like they're a great team, but like they've done that a lot to death. And like GOD, same thing. Like they're a very good team or they're a good team and they've done that a lot to death. And we got to put a tag team match on here, so go out there and do it again.
Question for Josh, with New Japan, because like Josh is more plugged into New Japan even than I am. Do you think some of the programs and the feel around New Japan like is stale at the moment? Because I know there's a lot of stars being elevated and dudes being put in new positions, but then you start going through the card, it's like Ishii's back around in Never Belt, Evil and Sonata are around the tag stuff, and Okada's on top,
I think what some of that has to do with is a lot of talent has left New Japan, and in the first part of the year they haven't had an injection of new stars. Now some of that is suddenly changing at the halfway point of the year, so I think we're going to see a change there. But I also think a lot of it has to do, it's a double-edged sword because we talk about the logic behind New Japan's booking, we talk about the structure that they have. But that structure of the tournament systems and the big shows, which is very predictable at a certain point in the year, it also does cause there to be a lot of predictability. So it's kind of double-edged in that way. So, but I wouldn't say it's stale. I think that they've done a really fantastic job this year booking with what they've had. But I'm excited for the second half of the year with so many new stars that have been introduced over the past few months, like El Phantasmo, like, Moxley, like
get it right,
Kenta and all these different guys. So there's a lot.
Shingo, Ospreay's elevation.
Yeah, so there's a lot that's shifting around, and even Ibushi's there, and he's always been there, but with him resigning or just signing a new contract,
He's actually a threat for the
a lot is changing. So no, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I think in the case of the tag division, it's always bad. Like it hasn't been good in New Japan. I don't even know, like. Over a decade, longer, it's bad most of the time.
Yeah, for some reason I feel like maybe I'm wrong in this, and you would know more than I. But I feel like a lot of it is a byproduct of these Road 2 shows and all the fucking tag matches. Like, so like how excited can you possibly get about one tag team that's together? Like, let's say it was the Rock and Roll Express or the Rockers or any other Express you want to throw out there. I was gonna say Boston Hug. Like. You put them out together, it's like, okay, cool, they're going to have a few matches, but then, like, they're the same team all the time, and they're wrestlers, and then, that's kind of where you run into it. Like, there's only so many tag teams that are, like, real teams, as opposed to, like, they're in a faction, and you just throw these 2 together.
Well, I feel like if they focused on certain guys, they'd get them more over. They just choose not to. Like, that's just my feeling.
Gotcha.
Like, for instance, I've been copping for years. I've always wanted Ishii and Goto to be a tag team. I've always wanted that, and
I'd rather see them fight each other to the death.
I would like to see them fight each other, but they're both in chaos.
No,
so.
to the death.
But I mean, there's lots of instances where they've had good tag teams. They've they had the Golden Lovers, but they didn't really utilize them in that division. They had, the Mega Aces. They didn't utilize them. They had the Young Bucks, and they kind of kept them segregated. They just don't book it strong because Gato does not care about it.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. Gato doesn't care.
And also, like, how long did the Young Bucks even have as being heavyweight tag champs? Or what, like a year?
They were 6 months. Was it even that long? Because they won it at Dominion and then dropped them shits in Long Beach.
Yeah.
And then they came back for the Tokyo Dome. So,
right.
Yeah.
So then after this match, Shibata came out. So we heard the soft piano keys.
It's actually guitar strings. Da, 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 da. Yeah.
I thought it was piano.
No, that's a guitar.
Yeah, I've had a conversation. I'm good.
Yeah. But
soft music.
Yeah, soft music.
I love his music.
And then you heard the guitars, and then all of a sudden you seen Shibata come out, and he has a suit on, kind of a little bit big for him, but that's okay. I'll let him rock. And then he points back at the screen, and he's just pointing at the screen forever, and ever, and he's still pointing at the screen.
Yeah, probably.
And then all of a sudden, the former Hideo Itami walks out. Throw that name in the trash. There's no reason to ever use it again. Kenta has returned.
All capitals.
All caps.
Yeah. Literally all
He
caps.
is basically, he must have been communicating with Moxley.
Oh my
trying
God.
to figure out, a way that he can go ahead and get the fuck out of WWE. Give him that whole thing. Oh, he's not going to compete. He's going to go back home to Japan. He's homesick. He misses home.
Yeah, and like
we'll give him his release.
Yeah, people thought he's gonna go over to he's gonna go back to Noah, and I mean there's some talk that he actually did, and either way, like we're gonna find out, and ultimately like it's gonna be one of those situations where it's like, yeah, sounds good. He ended up going to New Japan, so that's where we are now. And he's did he say he's going to be in the G1, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He said he's going to be in the G1.
This is the most exciting thing in wrestling, and since it's been so long since there have been major companies throwing out dollars and wrestlers willing to actually take them and really leverage contracts, we haven't really got this, like, seeing wrestlers pop up in new places like we used to. Right. And this is, like, a thing that is just so exciting on so many levels. Like, Josh, what did you think when you saw Kenta come out?
Well, one of my favorite things was he came out with a shirt that had a parody of the Godfather logo on it, but it said Takeover, and it was in yellow letters. So that's definitely throwing some shade at, his,
something.
At something. James knows a bit more about that.
Oh, like he threw shade at my favorite brand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Kenta coming out was... I got spoiled on this, so I was kind of bummed, but it was still an awesome moment to see him come out there like that. But the thing is like, Kenta he's had matches in New Japan, but he's never been a part of the New Japan roster. He's never competed in a tournament like this. And we've been wondering for a while, like, how much he has left in the tank, so we're not even sure what's really there.
Real soon.
But, my whole thing is, like, people wondering about guys leaving and things they will do, things they won't do, and they're like, you don't want to burn that bridge. It's like, ain't need no bridge. I'm back in Japan. I'm back home, and I'm part of the biggest company in the world. He doesn't ever need to go back to WWE. He doesn't ever need to work for that company ever again. He's here, and I think it's a really, really good move for everybody involved. And, Kenta is one of the biggest, names and one of the biggest stars to ever come out of Pro Wrestling Noah. And, with that company kind of, where it is today, it makes all the sense in the world that he would eventually show up in New Japan. I'm excited.
Yeah, my main thing is like, it's open box special. You don't know how healthy he is. You don't know if he can adjust back to wrestling style he used to work. You don't know if he can deal with that sort of punishment as well. But there's also an opportunity that like, what if he still does have gas tank? What if he's like, he's can wrestle the style he close to what he used to, because like he's not worried about like
kicking someone too hard.
He can be himself.
Like that match he had against Aleister Black, and I can't remember what takeover was, but like that was a match made you think like you finally saw all the stuff that like people talked about with him if you were someone that never ever got to see him. And I was never someone that ever saw any of his previous stuff, but the name rang out. So if he can do just that, That's a win.
It's another tremendous addition.
Right. Exactly.
And I was very hard on him throughout his whole WWE run, and this was kind of like my first learning experience with figuring out how stars from Japan can come over to WWE and it just not click in a modern era, in modern times.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel bad about how hard I was on him, to where he's not speaking the language,
Yeah, there's that, but there's also the matches weren't even on point either.
Yeah, it was the matches, the injuries, it just didn't work.
To be fair, you were never hard on him for the injuries. You were hard on him for where is it? I heard his rep. Where's the rep? And then there's a lot of that that goes on with with guys that come to WWE, where it's can you bring what made you special to WWE, and we have overwhelming evidence at this point that suggests no, you just no,
whether
I don't give a damn.
Agents.
I don't give a damn if you were out here bringing or pulling out if you were coming out serving red velvet cake ice cream. When you come to WWE, your ass, once you get to the main roster, your ass is out here serving soft serve vanilla. Period.
Yeah, and I don't.
You get to throw some sprinkles on every now and then, but that's about it.
Yeah. So.
And then as you more you go, there's less and less sprinkles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
shout out to Nakamura.
AJ Styles.
So after that, we got the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Will Ospreay defeating Dragon Lee in a fucking classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Will Ospreay, and this is the rest of the world at this point. And Dragon Lee was just offended almost. I felt he was yeah, everybody, they're writing me off. I'm just his afterthought in here, but I'm not this afterthought.
No. Yeah, this was some of the best of Dragon Lee that we've ever seen in New Japan, and that's really saying something. It's not to undermine any of his, past performances, but I think that this might be the best match he's ever had in New Japan, honestly.
We were just saying something because those
Hiromu
matches are freaking insane. Even the one where Hiromu broke his neck was probably the most tame of all three of those matches. The one where someone breaks their neck was the most tame of the three matches.
Right.
That's lets you know that's the standard that they were at, and we all kind of this happened, is unfortunate, but we all saw the writing on the wall. They were going to continue to wrestle like this, and hopefully the next time they wrestle, they don't do this shit again. Talking about Hiromu and Dragon Lee, but move on from that to Dragon Lee. I thought this was the best I ever saw him. Even at MSG, he's and that match was great. It was short, but it was great. And I thought that, I don't know, man. I don't know how much the Shibata love, and I love to see if there's pictures of them two together, or to talk about how much he wanted to defend that belt, to get it to have a match with Hiromu again, and the crowd took to him because of that. In part, those two things. I even now I kind of see him kind of. I don't think he'll ever be at this level again. I hope I'm wrong, but because he's awesome. But
you mean Hiromu?
No, I'm talking about Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee.
After the stuff that he kind of did to try to get himself ingratiated with the fans, the Japanese fans.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a hard time imagining being back at this level where he's the junior champion, and he's racks up that many points in a final for a block. But he has that kind of talent, and I hope to see that that they stay with it, and who knows how much he plans to keep going back and forth for the time being. But
well, the thing with him is that, typically speaking, in these Best of Super Juniors tournaments, they usually have another CMLL representative, no matter who it is, whether it's a big star like Volador, whether it's Teton, who we saw this past year.
Right.
They don't do well, but Dragon Lee always, since he's been in these tournaments, always is in the top tier when it comes to points totals. So he is a pushed commodity, and he's one of the most beloved luchadors of the modern times.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely he's built a lot of goodwill, and a lot of it's built off the back of that series of matches he had with Hiromu in Mexico and here. But this match with him and Ospreay, man, it was a masterpiece. This was an incredible match. all last year we had so many like top tier junior matches, and it seemed like in the beginning of this year with Taiji Ishimori at the top, we weren't really getting that. He was having good matches, and it was like, you know, it's cool. But now after this tournament, and now after, you know, the run that Dragon Lee's had, and with Ospreay back at the top of the mix, we're back to where we were last year.
And think
like
about,
electric.
And think about where we were. Like, I think me and Rich talked about this on our Wrestle Kingdom review beginning of this year. Like, it seems like we're at the end of an era now. Like, I don't know at what point it happened. It's like, all right, so like no Hiromu for the time being. We don't know when he's gonna come back. Marty, we don't know what his contract situation is. We don't know what's going on with AEW. If they ever have a relationship and he comes back.
I don't even consider him New Japan anymore because he's primarily just Ring of Honor.
Right. Well, that's my point. I'm getting to. It's like, and then you also had
Ricochet's gone.
Ricochet's gone. You had Ospreay. Looks like he was set to come. He was destined to move up to the heavyweight or open weight or whatever you want to call it. And then you also had Kushida leaving for WWE. And you're like, this is the end of an era. Like, if you grew up in this and you watch this stuff like how I did when I first started watching, it was 2015. It's like all those guys are like the division's like completely is going to be unrecognizable from what it used to be.
Red Dragon too.
Yep, another one. So you know. They've managed to reload again. Like it's crazy. It's like you're like this era. Like they built up to that. Where last year, like they had that great Ishimori and Hiromu match in the final of Best Super Junior. We're like, I don't think we can get no higher than this. And it's like, Osprey's like, hold my beer. Him and Shingo like, hold my beer. And then we get to this. And it's like,
so what you're saying is you're not worried about New Japan, James?
I mean, nah. Like they always prove they always tend to exceed expectations. I don't know why it was hard for me to come up with the word exceed, but yeah. So I hats off to them because they've rebuilt that division. I thought like it was gonna be a while because you're gonna have to worry about like trying to build Desperado or
Desperado is there. Desperado's there. If he had been in this tournament, he would have been probably in the finals with Will Ospreay.
You think so?
Yeah, Taguchi wouldn't have been in the finals. It was going to be Desperado. This was his year.
I thought that he was going to be somebody that was going to be a contender in the division coming into. Like at that point in time when we talked about how they're rebuilding, I thought he was going to be somebody who was a contender, but not the person. I thought like after watching the junior tag match, I thought like Shingo's going to be the guy. And then Ospreay, I thought Ospreay was gonna be evolved past that point in time, but like you're like, nah, I'm gonna stick around just a little bit, and then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take on both tournaments so I can make sure that I win most outstanding wrestler in the Observer for 2019. I'm making sure this is locked down.
Despy is he's one of the guys that they've really factored into that whole rebuilding process. Last year when Voices of Wrestling did their New Japan year-end book, it was very telling that any tag loss that Suzuki-gun took for the juniors, it was never Desperado. It was always Kanemaru. And if they ever won, the guy who was getting the pinfall was always Desperado. He had an incredible Super Juniors tournament last year, and he was going to this year. He got injured in that death. Like, who books a death match with Jun Kasai a few days before? You know, he got his jaw broken, so he wasn't able to be in this. But given the field, almost everyone who's knowledgeable on this was like, Desperado is going to be in the finals with Will Ospreay. And he was going to be. I feel very, very confident.
So you think that one of them would have knocked off Shingo before then?
No, well, Shingo's in the other block.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They were in the B block.
Yeah. You're right.
But, like, look at the guys that they brought in. El Phantasmo, they knocked it out of the park. I'm not a fan of his, but they knocked it out of the park building him up as a star. They've done an incredible job. You know,
Doki's a person that Desperado had to replace, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, all right.
They, bringing in Robbie Eagles, and then all the other stars that are out there that, Jonathan Gresham, and, they've done an incredible job with Sho and Yo. Like, they've killed it this year.
Yeah.
Man.
And then Shingo, obviously.
And also, they're trying to highlight Sho and Yo as separate, because we were thinking, like, I thought they were going to be one of those, like, tag teams that are, like, tag team for life. Like, you will be Evil and Sonata, and, like, we'll give Evil some shine, we'll give Sonata some shine, but ultimately, just like how we have Ishii trapped with the Never title and Naito trapped with the Intercontinental title, y'all will be trapped at the hip together until for like at least 5 years. But they decided to like let them go out there and kind of shine. And I'm interested to see like show ever? I'm sorry, show or Yo?
Show and Yo.
No, is it Show or Yo that has beef with the huge beef with Shingo?
Show.
Like, will Show ever get a W over Shingo? that's kind of where I'm at on that one. Like for me, their story, like as an individual goal, like I want to see that eventually sometime.
You know who else they did an incredible job revitalizing during this past tournament? Rocky Romero.
Oh yeah.
Like, you almost forgot
that he's that good a wrestler,
and he's that young. Like he's not that old
because he's out here managing and doing the tag shit and doing announcing and so you're just like, okay, I guess he's like done. Like he's like okay, he's a utility guy that's like, because he speaks English and everything else, like he's gonna be like a great
teacher
person that's gonna be in the company forever. Is like, yeah, he still is gonna be that, but like, by the way, like let's go out there and like let him go out there and get them 5 stars every so often. So like, I didn't know he could still do that. I didn't, especially when like he was doing the Roppongi stuff with Beretta. I didn't know he could reach and do that kind of stuff. I didn't. So that was a real big revelation from Best Super Juniors.
As far as this match goes, though,
I was.
As far as this match goes, because we just saw an all-time classic Best of Super Junior finals just a few days ago.
Yeah.
How do you think this stacked up to this? Because it almost feels like this was on the same level almost.
It was.
So I didn't see the whole Best of Super Junior final, but I saw this and I thought it was like the Champions League of professional wrestling. Like, it was just like, this is like the wrestling of the highest quality, and just how fast it was and how explosive and athletic, and it was just like the finishing sequence, Ospreay, the way he puts moves together, get people out of there. This was brilliant. Like, this was Rich Ladd Pro Wrestling. Like,
is Will Ospreay about to be the wrestler of the year?
Yes.
Yeah. Once we found out like he's going to be in the G, once we like got the hint that like, okay,
I don't know if he is or not though.
They can't not put him in the G1. They can't not.
Like, if they put Shingo in it, they gotta put Will.
Exactly. And also, like, are they? They're going to England, right?
Afterwards,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, they're still going to need, like, they always like talk about the Western expansion and all that stuff we talk about. Like, they're going to need some, bluntly, they're going to need some white boys to try to sell this show in Dallas. So, like, people that would be inclined to go watch New Japan show, when they see Will Ospreay is going to be in a G1 match, they'll show up be set on the semi-main or third from the top with Moxley. Like, they will show up to the thing.
Yeah. They did some incredible stuff in this match. The one spot where Will was draped over the announcer's table in the barricade, and Dragon Lee suicide dived out.
He missiled.
Oh my god, that was insane. But the one thing that I loved at the very, very end, after all the insanity, was that Will Ospreay pulled out his finishing sequence that he had to pull out over Shingo just a few days prior. Yeah, which was basically couple check hook kicks and then hitting him with the hidden blade and then the top rope. Oz Cutter, and then finally the Stormbreaker. And it's like, does this guy have the best finishing sequence of anybody ever in the history of wrestling? Because I would say he might.
Like, it was, you knew it was a wrap.
Yeah. No one's kicking out of that. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, and like some of the stuff they did in that match were like freaking V triggers. It's like Dragon Lee is just so good. And we talked about him and Bandito, Ospreay and Bandito from what was that? Was that WrestleCon Super Show?
Yeah.
Last year? Yeah, or this year. And like, it's almost as if like, yeah, I know I'm learning how to like try to figure out how to do this like lucha stuff, and like once he gets through the Best Super Juniors, it's like, okay, I'm now going to put even more of this in there. And then, like, you also have someone like Dragon Lee who will do literally anything because he's crazy. And then they went out there, and honestly, for those two psychopaths, those two crazy people that had that match, like, especially after the match that followed it, like, it turned out to be kind of damn tame. Yeah. Like, it was incredible while watching it live, and then, like, you go out there and watch, like Naito and Ibushi try to murder each other. And he's like, okay, so maybe I was too harsh on them. Like, he still did some dumb shit here and there, but like, it wasn't the dumbest thing some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen.
So I went 5 1/4 on the Ospreay Dragon Lee match. So
Yeah, you know me. Like my whole thing is like 5. It's clearly 5. If you want to go over 5, that's on you. But for me, like it's a 5-star deal.
But after that, boy, it was on for the Intercontinental title. Tetsuya Naito wins the IWGP Intercontinental title from Kota Ibushi. And these two kicked the holy shit out of each other.
Yeah. The crazy thing with this match was, like, for the first 8 to 9 minutes, it was like a 22-minute match. Like, the first 8 to 9 minutes, they were having a very different kind of match than the previous matches they've had in their series.
Yeah.
It was a lot slower. There was a lot more heelish tactics from Naito, a lot more heat. They weren't doing too many crazy things. It wasn't a fast pace. And then suddenly, the head drops started coming.
Yeah, it's almost as if the first 8 minutes of the match served as the palate cleanse, and then they picked the pace, and then people were into it. It's almost as if, like, if you book these top matches back to back to back, like, you go long so that you can get the crowd readjusted and reaffirmed, and then you bring it back up, as opposed to let's bring out these geeks that people don't care about that do some shit that doesn't matter, and then like try to get people to care again after you just threw some ice cold water on in their face. So yeah, I'm exactly with you. Like they slowed it down, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they start doing these high dangerous ass spots, and it's like, yo, like someone's going to die here. Can we please stop this?
Yeah, it was scary.
I can't remember the first time in the match where I was like, yo, this is crazy. They're going to hurt each other.
They were doing some crazy stuff, but the first one that was real bad, where it really kicked off, was that apron spot.
The German suplex.
Well, there wasn't one right before then?
They'd done some other stuff.
I felt like they did
that was
something.
the first real head drop.
Okay, yeah. All right, and then that whole rest of the match, I'm sitting there like, why are y'all continuing to do more head dropping and stuff? Why? Please stop. Someone's going to die. And then mercifully no one did, and they finished the match. But I mean, for me, I don't know about y'all, but like I would have gave it 5 stars too.
Yeah, I went 5.5 on this one, and it was just like I fucking loved it every second of the way. I was enthralled.
But
that's y'all. I was enthralled from them striking each other.
Yeah.
Like hand to hand, and of course like the German suplex where he did it on the apron. That's gonna get people up in arms and everything like that. I don't care if people like take risks to have great matches.
My question for you is this, right? Do you think he was trying to clip that edge, or what do you think they were trying?
I think he was trying to.
No, I think they messed up.
I think what they were trying to do was, remember, they were teasing that spot for a while, like as if somebody was going to get German or sent into the ring post.
Right.
And then they got reverse flipped the other way, and I thought that someone was going to go to the floor. I thought that Ibushi was meant to go to the floor, which was meant even crazier, but he instead ends up clipping his head on the fucking edge of the apron, and then he falls off. So we saw this last year with Ospreay and Skrull. It's like, or Skrull. Sorry, Skrull.
I would say
stupid shit. But why? I don't understand why you feel the need to do. What in the world compels you to do such dumb shit? Like,
I do think that they could have done all the spots where people got dropped on their heads. They could have done all those moves safer, and the match would have been just as good.
Or how about this? You said it was a 5.5 star match.
Yeah.
How about you don't do that dumb shit? You get yourself 5 stars, and like you'll be able to remember everything in the match because you won't be concussed out of your brain.
Yeah, it was scary. Like it was scary for sure. I was freaking out.
It was horrifying.
Yeah.
And I think when we were all three. We all read the MSG show, and I think my favorite part about their match at MSG was the fact that no one tried to kill each other. I think I said that when we did the Hooters show, or the Suplex Mania. They had a good match, or they had a great match, and the best part about it was they didn't try to kill each other.
Yeah.
It's almost like they heard that and felt insulted. That I was like, James said that we didn't try to kill each other.
Like, James said we ain't about it.
Bro, please stop. Don't do this. Like, I want to watch you guys wrestle us for forever, for as long as possible. This shit shortens careers. This was like a Hell in a Cell match. It shortens careers. Don't stop. Please stop.
All the head spots aside, though, the actual story of the match, the actual, fan investment, and then the closing sequences, this was still just an incredible match. Every time these guys get together, it's an incredible match.
Yes.
And they knocked it out of the park again. And right now, for in-ring product, this is the feud of the year in New Japan.
Yeah, I can see that.
There are other heated programs, but for match quality, for the 3 matches that these guys have had in this calendar year, nobody else's matches top it. Period.
Yeah, I can tell you, Jay White and Tanahashi definitely.
And Jay White and Okada, no, because they only got one that's on that level.
Yeah. I loved it. Can't recommend it enough. So
I thought it was a 5-star match, but I don't really have the interest to go see that joint again. And there are plenty of Ibushi matches that he does irresponsible, dangerous shit in, and same for Naito, who neither one of these two care about their necks. But there are other matches that I would rather watch over on a replay than these two that they've done. Like this one was even their match from Wrestler, I'd much rather watch that again than watch that, because that is not shit. Just it ain't worth it. It's just not. And say no to drugs. Stop doing it. Say no to neck bumps.
I personally liked their New Japan Cup match better than this match. Mm-hmm. And they actually did crazier stuff in that match, but it worked out. It just happened to work out better where people got less hurt. In this case, it was very clear each time when they were getting dropped on their dome that they were getting all of it, and it was bad. But yeah, this series has been incredible this year.
So where do we see those guys going? Obviously, Naito gets that white belt back on him, that Albatross. Yeah. And Ibushi's freed up now. If you're a Kota Ibushi fan and you're hoping he main events the Tokyo Dome, do you feel good about this?
There was the argument to be made by many fans that the loser of this match might be headlining Wrestle Kingdom and winning the G1.
Yes.
So
the loser of this match was going to the front of the line. Absolutely.
Although
against Tomohiro Ishii. Right?
Shut up! But you know what? It's still really compelling because on the one hand you have Naito saddled with the IC belt once again, but he's been talking all year about how he wants to headline Wrestle Kingdom and challenge for the IWGP title while holding the IC belt and kind of do that thing. And there is obviously the 2 previous Wrestle Kingdoms that he's had against Okada for the IWGP title where he's come up short. It does feel like for a while that they've been building to a third match between them, similar to the Rock Austin, WrestleMania series. But on the other hand, a lot has changed over the past year, and Ibushi signed, Ibushi's streaking, Ibushi is on the come up, and a lot of people feel like it's his time. And so it is very interesting to see what they wind up doing when this is all said and done. But my prediction, either way, these 2 guys are going to probably be at the top of the point leader charts when G1 comes around. They're going to be in those final nights.
They're both block finalists. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And you can easily, if Naito does come up short, you can easily do the thing where it's this was his goal, this was his aim, this was his dream, but then he doesn't win the G1, so it doesn't end up happening for him.
And there's always next year.
Well, I don't know. We're getting to a point where there's not always next year for Naito anymore. Yeah. It is getting to the point where for what they built up and what they failed to deliver on, if they don't deliver on it soon, there is not going to always be next year. Yeah, he's getting very close to being the permanent
IC champion,
IC Nakamura role, where he will never be the IWGP champion with the way.
And me and Josh actually talked about this because you look around the rest of New Japan, it's Ospreay's coming, Ibushi's here. Yep. They're gonna keep putting resources into Jay White. They're gonna Okada, he's not going anywhere. So
they just brought in Moxley.
Moxley's around.
Shingo.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll actually build up Moxley or Jericho though. They're in there for title matches because they're matches that will draw. I don't think they're actually going to make them the champion.
It's just that these are guys that
you have to commit to New Japan to actually full time to actually get that.
Yeah, the one thing I will say though, for all the arguments about all those guys in the come up and how much people are behind them, no matter what happens, every night, and it was the same on this show, when Naito comes out, he gets the loudest reception. He is still one of, if not the most over guy in New Japan.
No argument against it.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. And I thought that he should have won. I thought he should have won Wrestle Kingdom 12 main event, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, they certainly hasn't affected their business one bit. So
the business keeps getting.
But then again, with me saying that, there was a time where we were saying the exact same things about Nakamura. He's the most popular guy. He's the most over star in the company. But that's not for you, baby.
Yeah, that's not for you. And then we got our main event of the evening. Kazuchika Okada defeating Chris Jericho to retain the IWGP Championship. I like this match a lot more than these two guys.
Whoa. Why are you starting it off that way? Like
he can't even want to. And then we're going to be like, yeah, we thought it was 3.5. And then be like, oh, so what did Rich think it was?
Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
I thought it was a 4.
Okay.
So it's a good match.
So, they
it was a really good match. That went 30 minutes. Or 25 minutes.
It went 25-45, it looks like. So, what did you guys think about this match? And then Jericho's emergence around New Japan, and of course Jericho has the energy around him right now from AEW. Mm-hmm. And the finish of the match, we all pointed out immediately. We hopped on Twitter, and everyone else seems to have did it too. They did the same finish of Dominion last year in the first fall with Kenny and Okada, and I wonder if that was by design.
Absolutely.
It's to say that Jericho and Kenny are on the same level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that there was a lot of things that were good about the match. There's some things that maybe detracted from the match. On the one hand, Jericho was at his all-time entertaining self. He was so entertaining in this match.
He popped me all over the match.
Wrestle Kingdom 12, Jericho showed up.
He did a lot of really, really great, just character-driven things throughout the match. However, at the same time, sometimes throughout the match, I kind of felt like some of the antics were to diminishing returns a little bit. It didn't have that same unique freshness that we when it was the first time he ever did that stuff. Right. Another thing though is that all throughout the match,
he didn't whoop Red Shoe's son. So look at your kid. Look at your kid.
Okada was very much they definitely did what. And James mentioned this during the match, and I was thinking the same thing. Very much like an early 2000s WWF heavyweight title main event style match. Yep. Jericho was in control for the majority of the match, and you very rarely saw Okada get much offense. And when he would, Jericho pretty much cut him off a lot of the time. And I do think the match maybe just slightly was held down by the fact that they weren't able to do all the no DQ, even though they did some stuff. Yeah. They didn't have as much no DQ stuff that Jericho matches have been known for in the past, and that might have also detracted from it just slightly.
I think that'll be helped in a future match because it will be earned that it's a no DQ match because of beating that he put on him. I think for me, I would have enjoyed the match probably as much as you did if there was more leg work to explain the in and out of, I think it was 3 different times he slapped on the ring, or not the Rainmaker, my God.
The Walls of Jericho?
The Lions, Lion Tamer. Yeah, Walls of Jericho, Lion Tamer, whatever, Boston Crab, whatever the hell you want to call it. I feel like that would have made me buy into the third time he did it, oh my God, this is really the finish. As opposed to, no. No, he's not going to tap his man. There's this, it was a well-wrestled match, but that's not the story they were going for at that time. And also that sounds real American. I mean, to be work the leg more. Especially when I'm out here it also hypocritical and I'm dude, I am sick to fucking death of Seth Rollins selling his knee and deciding not to sell his knee in a matter of a split second. So yeah,
well Jericho was working the head.
Yes,
oh my God,
he was working the head. Yes, working the head.
Oh my God! You let them know about the working the head.
So shit. When you watch matches, you can see somebody's working a limb, limb movement. If you ever played the video games limb attacks. So throughout this match, Jericho showed a consistent
elbows to the back of Okada's head and
a consistent dedication to working the head, to working the skull, attacking the Abdullah Oblongata, whatever that shit is called.
He was weakening his temples because we all know that Jericho's new finisher, his devastating finisher, the Judas Effect elbow, was in play. So he had to soften this man up to make sure that his finisher was more effective. So he
Right.
worked the head all throughout the match.
So Okada somehow got the win while having red on the body part on the head region. He somehow was able to work his way through it.
You know, I will add on to your theory that he was working the head. I will add on to it. When
it's not a theory when it actually happened.
When Okada did his typical dive over the gate outside, and Jericho hits the code breaker. It was a botch, but he actually ends up giving him the code breaker to his chest.
Yep.
And commentary put over that he was working over the chest. In theory, you could say that he just did that because like he actually really wanted to work over the head with fists or whatever else. But I'm sorry. I understand what y'all are saying. Like, yes, head brain or drain damage. I understand the drain damage, but I'm joking about you have brain damage.
I caught it.
I'm just saying. You say okay. You looked at me like what? No, is James not how to talk now? So anyway, yeah, I get that. But for me, it was just like he's just beating him up. That's all it is. Y'all just making it being funny, and I'm just like, y'all don't make it hard for me to enjoy this match. Y'all are being jackasses.
This match was really good. A couple things also that I think the fact that it was a dream match worked in its favor, but at the same time, there was never a physical interaction between these two guys prior to the match leading up to it. Mm-hmm. So it didn't feel like there was a lot of heat from the crowd for the match. It felt like people were pro Okada, and at some points they were pro Y2J.
They were chanting Y2J. Yeah. He was over,
and he was doing his best to try to corral them back into. It was almost like reminding you of the times when he was in 2016 when he was wrestling Reigns. In his Roman, he'd just be like, "All right, like y'all cheering me, but I needed y'all to do what I need y'all to do." So he got up, he did the smirking thing. He tried to do the Okada. He tried to do the Okada.
That was
thing.
hilarious.
Yes. And then the whole thing, he turns it into middle fingers or whatever else. Like he was trying to do, but I don't know how because so many fucking wrestlers in Japan do the middle fingers, and that is not to my knowledge, that is not a universal thing, or it's not a universal thing.
They know what it is.
No, they know what it is, but that's not fuck isn't a curse word. It was I watch Stardom and I'll see constantly Konami, fuck you, fuck QQ and all this stuff. So that. They get it, but it don't feel the same way. It don't hit the same.
Mm-hmm.
So they find it where it should be dastardly or whatever else. It's really oh, that's amusing. Look at Jericho losing his damn mind, throwing chairs around.
One other thing too with the match, if you notice throughout it all, the person who was calling the match was Jericho. And in many of Okada's great matches, he is the one that's dictating everything. He's the one that's calling the match, and the other guy's working up to his level and his pace.
Yeah, he's trying to learn how to work WWE style just in case. Put this in my back pocket just in case.
It did feel like Jericho was dictating the pace and kind of calling it. And then at the very, very end, you were kind of hoping for one of those classic reversals and finishing sequences, and they started to kind of do that, but I don't know if Jericho can still kind of pull that out on that level to some of the other younger workers. Maybe that's not his specialty at this point. And then when the finish did come, it kind of came a little bit flatly. Mm-hmm. What did you think, Rich?
I thought when I saw the finish, I was like, oh, this is the finish.
Yeah.
And then I immediately flashed back to Dominion last year.
Yeah.
So I liked it, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, because there was no Rainmaker.
I thought it was anticlimactic.
Right.
I mean, I got the finish.
Rainmaker.
I got the finish, but to me, it was the second happened, and the second he popped, I was like, oh, they're gonna do a rematch.
There was
that's the exact thing I thought. My many thoughts is once that slide finished, rematch. Not Chapter 1, but this is an American version of Chapter 1 as opposed to we're in New Japan. I want the New Japan version of Chapter 1. And it's whatever. I mean, it's also the politics in play of this AEW guy also. So he has to kind of protect himself. He can't be out here doing he's about to we all know he's about to become the AEW first ever day. AEW
you would think
he can't be dude. They do have Jesus Christ, but we all know where he's headed. So he kind of has to protect himself. That's the policy of the game, and if you're somebody that thinks politics be damned, it's a New Japan show, you do New Japan. I understand your frustration with it or whatever else. But for me, it's they gave me a good enough match.
They gave me a good enough match. They gave me a unique match that I wanted to see for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
And then at the end, in the
they set up
post-match,
another match I want to see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but think about this, though.
It was real American. That's all. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. It's real American.
If Jericho's going to be the next champion over there, he can't land his finish and have Okada kick out.
Right.
But on the flip side,
right,
Okada can't hit him with his finish
right.
and have him kick out
right.
if he's going to be the AEW champion. So there's some politics involved in this.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would encourage people to, as you receive this match, if you haven't seen it yet, consider those things. But
I mean, I will say this, right?
It was entertaining.
It depends on the amount of goodwill you have with whatever company. Like, if you're somebody that feels like I have extended goodwill to a company and they have burned me over and over and over, therefore I'm less likely to give them that, then I understand your frustration. And you're right to be frustrated with whatever else. If you're somebody that feels like, look, man, this is the first one they've ever fucked me on, or one of the few ones they ever fucked me on, and you're willing to cut them slack, you're willing to cut them slack. I mean, because ultimately, people are willing to forgive, or me particularly, I'm willing to forgive in WWE, for example, a bad storyline. They give me a kick-ass match. Like AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you gave me a bad storyline for a month or 6 months, 6 weeks or whatever else. You gave me a kick-ass match. All right, I will look back on that match fondly and say and pretend that should never exist. Same way that in our Observer Awards in 2016, Sasha versus Charlotte won feud of the year, even though it was a bad feud. It was just the matches were kick ass. So all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But one other thing too is like we are used to a lot of main events in New Japan delivering to a certain level, of course.
Right.
I don't think this quite reached that level.
I agree.
But not every single main event has to be, 4 3/4, 5 stars. This wasn't that, but the match was really good on a good show with a lot of great matches, and it delivered. To me, it still delivered, even though it wasn't like, from the technical, it wasn't a 5-star match.
Right.
I still thought it was a great main event, and so for that point, like I wasn't complaining about the match at all. I think it's a good match.
There was like some negative reception like in the building to like, and I could see there's a lot of
energy. They got themselves. I mean, it was a clean finish, but but for that crowd and that post match, that is not what they expect.
Yeah.
I think the post match is what left me feeling dejected. We should talk about that.
Yeah. So in the post match, Jericho got a chair, ended up laying Okada out, beating his ass all around the ring. There was a table that was set up during the match, ironically, like
it never got used.
Like it never got used. Ironically, like the match last year. Then they get to that, and it looks like he's gonna powerbomb Okada through the table, and then all of a sudden you flash, like you can see Tanahashi on the left, and immediately I was like, "Oh my God, Tanahashi's about to jump the gate!" And then he jumps the gate. And he saves Okada, and essentially Tanahashi Jericho program seems to be started because we figured that, of course, Jericho wants to go all around like the top, of the loop, essentially, in New Japan. Is he going to end up fresh enough by the time he gets to the end or whatever loop he's on in New Japan?
In New Japan, yes, because he's only going to be there for only the big shows, brother, and like. He'll be in America, and maybe you'll be tired of. I don't think he'll be tired of him because like he's gonna like his match with Kenny was damn good. Like, was it like I'd probably get it 4 1/4. So, I think he'll be fine. And also he's not gonna be working that TV every single week. Like he's gonna be on there here and there. He's gonna be the champion. And he's gonna be able to not overexpose himself, and he's smart enough to know how not to overexpose himself.
So they started to, with Tanahashi coming out making the save for his partner in the Mega Aces.
What do they actually call themselves?
They don't have a name.
Okay,
that's something we've invented.
That's what everyone calls them. Yeah.
No, not everybody. Just literally my podcast. No one else does it. It's just us.
Yeah, just you. Sure.
Invented it.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to catch on. I wish everyone would call him that, but I don't think it really has caught on anywhere. Yeah. But, Tanahashi came out, made the save. By the way, Tanahashi did not look good. He was struggling.
You know what he looked like?
That man looked like Charlotte when she was doing the shuffle.
You stupid.
Like
in retrospect, you know what he really looked like? He looked like an old guy that got run at the park and sat down, and his muscles got cold.
Damn.
Ooh. And so he had to get back up, and he was just cold. So that's why he looked stiff. And I remember watching, I was like, he looks bad. And like now thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, that's what really happened to him. Like that man was sitting there doing that announcing after taking a shower, it was cold or whatever, and his muscles were warm, and he told him go out there and go do some more. And he's like, I mean, I can, but
yeah, the crowd really popped when he jumped over, but then it wasn't a good interaction, so there wasn't a lot of heat for it or anything like that.
Because there was no payoff. It was like Jericho's like, oh shit, Ace coming, and got the fuck out and died. You're like, nah, no thank you.
No smoke.
I think obviously we're building towards a potential Jericho and Tanahashi match.
But what didn't you like? Like you said, you had that feeling like I want to explore that a little bit.
Well, the champion won the belt and then got his ass whooped in the end.
Yeah.
What I didn't like about it was that we went off the air feeling dejected because the heel got his heat back, but then once they gave the payoff to that with Tanahashi, they barely touched. Tanahashi didn't look good. Jericho didn't look good. Jericho kind of left. The crowd seemed confused. New Japan,
because they're not used to being fucked with like we are.
Yeah.
New Japan does do things like
yes,
this,
absolutely.
And there's a lot of like instances of it. But when they do it, it's always done very well. And in this case, it was not done well. And then they just went off the air. So that was part of it. But I think the thing with Jericho is like Jericho probably told him like I think you guys are saying like we're gonna see another Okada-Jericho match, and I'm thinking
I don't think we are.
I think we are.
I think we are, but if we are, it's gonna be in the tradition of New Japan where they give us rematches way later. Like it's not gonna be this year, and I think
it's definitely happening like next year. Like I think that might be a freaking like was it oh my god, where are they normally not
Long Beach.
I think it's gonna be safe for like Long Beach or something, or maybe
it could be anywhere.
Long Beach or like they'll begin like after was it not New Beginning? Yeah, maybe New Beginning. Who the fuck knows?
But like with the whole thing, Jericho's like, okay, I'll do the job, but if I do the job, I'm not taking the Rainmaker, and then I'm getting my heat back, and I'm gonna stand tall at the end of the show. Yeah. That's the only way I can do this. And they said yes. Yeah. And so that's what happened here. And he was like, "Oh, I'm doing you guys a favor because I'm giving you 2 new matches for down the road." But the crowd, like, it just wasn't a good way to end Dominion.
Yeah. It felt okay. So remember SummerSlam last year?
Yeah.
How people had built in their minds that like Vince was going to go all the way with Daniel Bryan and Miz, and ultimately the finish you got was the heel. They had brass knuckles punched the babyface in the mouth and pinned him, and we all felt like that was cheap.
Man, I forgot about that shit.
This was a cheap. Like we understand the politics at play. We discussed them at a bit of a length previously on the show that we're doing right now. Like you have that at play, and so we understand it. But like if you're a crowd and you watch New Japan and you always know like there's a payoff coming, like you know that like the payoff you're gonna get won't be for months from now. Yeah. So like in a way that feels to you cheap, and that to me it felt cheap too as someone that only purchased into their big shows. Like I won't see this shit until literally the Dome. One of these Dome shows is when I get one of them, and then the next one might be who the hell knows? Maybe they come to Tampa and do the Sun Dome or whatever else in
WrestleMania
April.
Weekend.
Yeah, in April. Like that's a long way out. Like that's over 6 months from now.
Yeah, and I
understand it.
Yeah, looking at it, I think there's some energy around Jericho right now, and there's a lot of conversations being had about his presence in the wrestling world.
Sure.
And it's going to be interesting as this evolves. I think he has to be extremely careful of not overexposing himself in his style that he's doing right now, because I see it being not for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that now that you have the first Omega match out, or the second Omega match out the way, and you have this first Okada match out the way, like the next time those guys rush each other, you finally get Jericho's rules. Like forget like he pulls out a table or he pulls out some weaponry and whatever else. Meanwhile, like it's a straight rules match. Like it's actually going to go into it. Like these next matches you see between Omega or Okada are going to be like, nah, the story's there. Like he's going to want to whoop your ass, get retribution for what you did to him. So, or both of them are going to want retribution for what Jericho did to them. So, like, it's on now. Like, it's going to be back to, like, brawling outside in the arena all around, and, Okada, Omega's crazy ass, doing dives to tables and stuff. So like I think that's where we're headed back on. And if we get that mixed with like the effort that Jericho puts into just being a charismatic baddie, like in these matches, these big high profile matches, like we can recapture that magic that we saw like from Wrestle Kingdom 12 and Wrestle Kingdom this year.
Yeah. But, he cut a promo on Tanahashi at the end. He called Japan a bullshit country and called Okada a bitch.
He called Tanahashi Bakahashi.
Bakahashi, whatever that is.
That's a curse word.
He grabbed some of the confetti money and put it in his crotch, and that was disgusting.
And then rubbed it into the camera.
Yes.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, that was like Tupac spitting in the camera level.
No. People, when they do the Tupac, it's actually kind of like humorous because of the reference. But I don't know that reference at all. Nah, Chief. I don't. You keep that cheese in your shorts. No, thank you. Harold may be like, bro, this is a $8,000 camera. I can't use it no more.
Either way, like the match still pretty much delivered, but this is a really newsworthy show. A lot of like big reveals, a lot of new storylines, and like I'm very excited for Kazuna Road and excited for the G1 coming up.
Yeah, man. When I saw the card on paper, I was like, that's a little different, because then you're seeing Kojima in a singles match.
Right.
You're seeing a lot of those tag matches that ended up, what I felt like could have been just Road 2 matches. But the top of the card was class, and
like
it
normal.
was like normal.
normal.
And overall, it's Dominion. So,
and when you couple that with what they just gave us, a couple days ago with Best Super Juniors,
it felt like they kind of like split what
felt. Yeah,
it should have been like it felt like you could have took a couple of those matches off the Best Super Junior finals, put them on Dominion, and had the more epic cards. So it was like they did a 2-night show.
They could have. It's just that they had that very ambitious, we want to sell out Sumo Hall as well a couple days later, which is like almost, they didn't. They came close, but they did well. So that could have gone really wrong. Mm-hmm. With them headlining Best Super Juniors, which isn't known to be a big drawing card, that could have gone really wrong. So they made the best business decision they possibly could have. But like overall, as a wrestling fan, getting those two cards back to back, is awesome.
It's like consuming both of those. Oh yeah,
it's different when you get. I don't like when they split these cards and you get like, New Beginning this week, and then 3 weeks later, New Beginning this week. That's not as good. But when you get these 3 days apart, I can rock with that. It's fine.
So, okay, just keep it in my head. London is after G1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's in August. It's August 31st.
Okay.
So the state of New Japan, Josh, is it in good shape
it's
right now?
It's in good shape. One thing we forgot to mention, after Will Ospreay won his match, he challenged Robbie Eagles to challenge him for the title at the Australia show. So we've got Kazuna Road and the
Super Show, or what was it? Aussie show, Southern Showdown.
Say Super Showdown.
Well, it's called it's called Southern Showdown. I believe.
It's Southern Showdown.
Yeah, Southern Showdown.
Yikes!
But it was called Southern Showdown before
that.
Super Showdown was a thing. Well, before they
they ran it back.
When was the first?
Like in January.
What was it? No, the Southern Showdown.
Like in January they had it.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Super Showdown was in Australia in October of last year.
But I don't think they knew that WWE was going to reuse the name, is what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
But yeah, so I mean, we got the Australia tour coming up. We got Kazuna Road, and then we got G1 heading into the last quarter of the year.
So how do you feel about them as far as like their ambition into basically these Western spots? Like night 1 of G1 is gonna be in Dallas, and it's more continuation of what they've done in California throughout the last couple of years.
Well,
and then you have now they're going to London for this show after, and now they're in Australia. Like, what is your outlook, or what is your outlook on how well these shows are going to do? Do you think they basically are too far over their skis, or what?
I don't. When it comes to the, non-US markets. So like they've in the past they've only run shows in conjunction with RevPro, and they've always done very well. The show that they're running on August 31st already sold 5,000 tickets, which is really laughable because I don't know. Did you hear about that, James? The whole thing with WWE?
Isn't it the same night? Cardiff, and also All Out, right?
Yeah, but did you hear about the spy rumor?
No.
Okay, so friends of our podcast, Super J-Cast, they said that they had heard a report that basically one of the ticket distributors that New Japan was using had a spy that was communicating with WWE and told them that they'd only sold 2,000 tickets, which would have been a failure for them. So then WWE basically made the decision, like they saw money on the table. They're like, oh, we're going to run the Cardiff Wales show on the same day, not knowing that New Japan actually uses 2 ticket distributors and that they actually are almost sold out, and that they, at the time that report was going out, that they've actually got 5,000 tickets sold. And at the same time, WWE decided to run in Cardiff, Wales the same weekend as a huge rugby like World Cup match qualifier, and so the ticket or the hotel prices in Wales are extremely high. Pretty much the entire city is going to be going to the rugby game, which pretty much spells not good for them.
Doom.
And you know, with the UK not being, even though it's a hot market, it's all relative. It's a hot indie market. They've already had a lot of issues with NXT UK drawing in different markets.
Right.
So now,
For tapings,
yeah. So it's kind of just laughable, the situation that they've gotten themselves into. But
so, how much of that do you actually believe, though?
I mean, I believe it.
Okay. I mean, either way, it causes nothing. It's like, oh, they lost. Oh, they tried to, come in.
Regardless of whether there was actually a spy or not, the fact that they tried to run on the same day,
yeah.
It's not a good look for them.
Yeah.
And then, so it's good news for New Japan that they're running their first like solo show in the UK, and they're pretty much outdrawing almost every major show that has run in the UK in the last few years that's non-WWE.
Well, I mean, how much of that is, like they've, not as much as I'd like with Ospreay, but how much of that is like they've done a lot of heavy lifting over the last 2 years with Ospreay
and Zack Sabre.
With Ospreay, they built up Sabre last year when he won the New Japan Cup, and then you also have the Rev Pro guy, the people that do Rev Pro like Ishii, like Suzuki. Like, how much of that do you think is like, yes, New Japan's coming, but we also have these guys that these people know and have seen and have been champions.
That's exactly what it is.
On their own land and have seen these guys.
When they go to Rev Pro and they've done these, different tours with Rev Pro, they actually give them better cards than they have to the U.S. fans. They've done major shows with Tanahashi, major shows with Okada, major shows with Suzuki, and different guys that are Ishii that are super, super over there. They definitely have an in that market in a way where like the Japanese talent is way more over in the UK than they are in the US. And then as far as the Australia shows, last year's tour was a resounding success, which they didn't know how that would go. And from the reports right now, the ticket sales are doing very, very, very well.
Okay.
I think with the U.S., though, it's a little more precarious because they did lose all of the elite guys, which is
that hurts.
That really, really hurt them. Plus all the blunders that happened earlier this past year with the visas and all that.
Yeah.
Plus they had
that was for the Charlotte show, right?
That was for the entire tour. They had
I thought it was just for the Charlotte show.
Charlotte,
Nashville, and over in
because
LA.
I remember they were in. I thought all the LA people came in. I thought it was just Charlotte and Nashville that didn't have the.
They'd already sold out the LA show. No, they didn't. They never were able to bring in Japanese talent for the whole tour.
Yeah.
But they had actually sold out the tickets for 2 of those shows already based on the assumptions, and then it was a blunder. Obviously, I think the Madison Square Garden show helped a lot, but I think some of the stuff happening with Ring of Honor, just by association, probably hurts them a bit too.
Probably.
But at the same time, they went through a huge change in management in the past year. And from the reports, the team that's handling the U.S. expansion is very different from who'd been handling it previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we still ain't getting these cards, though.
Right. Yeah.
You might want to get these cards out to us.
So far, honestly, the ticket sales for the G1 have been very, very, very underwhelming. And I think they're hoping that with bringing in these new stars, especially signing a guy like Moxley and the, popularity that's brewing with AEW, and even though they're not the same company, they're not partnered, but just by proximity, that former relationship with all the different talent, I think that helps them quite a bit. So hopefully this first night at G1 will be more successful than it seems like it's going to be right now. I've got more cause for concern for their U.S. expansion than I do for these other markets.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, man. I think that's a good place to wrap it up this week here for One Nation Radio. Josh, thanks for joining us and all that. And James, anything to add before we roll up out of here today?
No, I mean, I think it was a really good episode of Keepin in One Nation. So I think this turned out very well. So yeah, nothing else. I mean, let's see. So what else is next? What's the next big wrestling show now?
Fighter
Don't
Fest.
say fight. God damn it.
Yeah, it is Fighter Fest. I mean, unless you want to talk about Stomping Grounds, which is like Rematch of Mania from Crown Jewel.
What is that?
Or, excuse me, Super Showdown.
What is that?
Crown Jewel is just funny to
maybe?
say.
Oh, so it's like 3 weeks away.
23rd, maybe. And they did announce a bunch of those matches. They got a rematch for the Universal title. Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin. Cage match between Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler now. They also
I thought it was going to be a triple threat match for Owens. No?
That's probably Extreme Rules.
That is Extreme Rules.
Okay. They've also got Bayley and Alexa, Becky and Lacey, Reigns and McIntyre. Yeah, they made Roman Reigns do a job for Shane McMahon. I'll never understand that. But, yeah, make sure you guys are checking out the rest of the shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Of course, Sundays, One Nation Radio. We've got Keeping It Strong Style with Josh and Jeremy. We've also got the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. We've got Grown Men Watch This Shit every other Wednesday. We got NXT Then Now Forever. We've got Get in the Ring. We've also got All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson on the weekends, like usually Saturdays. So make sure you guys are supporting the network. Give us those ratings. As Bomani Jones would say, give us 5 stars. If you give us 4 stars, we're inclined to think you're haters. And, yeah. Check out Josh on Keeping It Strong Style on Tuesday.
Doing his second review.
Going through it again.
If you guys enjoyed this show and you want to get more into New Japan, we cover New Japan Pro Wrestling every single Tuesday. We drop our show right here on this network. And we not only talk about, show reviews, but we do, we talk about history, we talk about the ongoing stories, all the latest in the news. This week, we will not only just be reviewing Dominion, but we'll also be giving our grades and final reviews on the Best of Super Juniors tournament, as well as doing a final review on the Best Super Junior final. We'll also be doing our Wrestler of the Month and Match of the Month for the month of May. So it's going to be a big episode, so definitely check that out. And you can follow us at KI Strong Style. We drop every Tuesday. You can join us on the Wrestling Squared Circle, part of our Facebook group. And on Reddit, I'm Keeping It Strong Style. My co-host Jeremy is the Pro Black Guy.
Okay. Yeah, man. Actually, no, he's Jeremy L. Donovan on his Twitter now.
I said,
yeah.
No, I said
on
Reddit.
On Reddit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
on Reddit.
The reason why I laughed at you is because one, you got your plugs in. That's fine.
Shameless plugs.
That's not what I was laughing at. I was laughing at the fact that like you told them like basically what you're doing is doing what WWE does. Like, okay, so we had a match. So let's do the same match again, except like let's add a step. Like I'm going to do another Dominion review, except we're going to do like the Best Super Juniors, some stuff on that, some quick stuff. Look, some quick stuff on like Wrestler of the Month or whatever else. I'm just like, you could have been a promoter, Josh. You could have been a promoter.
But not only that, there's more.
So are we gonna find out who won the bracket too?
Oh yeah. We're also gonna be announcing.
If you want to help him.
We're gonna be announcing our winner of the Best Super Juniors Pick'em.
If I won this shit with a gimmick bracket, as I mentioned, y'all will never hear.
I can tell you right now, you did not win. I don't know if you won. You might have. Who knows?
I don't know if I picked Shingo. I might have. So that might have doomed me.
But you know, my co-host Jeremy, he's not here. You guys get to hear his hot takes, and he's awesome. So definitely check us out.
Yeah, man. That's gonna wrap it up. We will holler at y'all.
Peace.
Peace.